Why is boxing more dangerous than MMA? I know this is gonna be a good one. I just know it's gonna be a good one because it's very controversial. I know someone get some comments about people disagreeing. Someone's gonna be talking shit about my eye. But why is boxing more dangerous than MMA? I'm not even saying that it's harder, although I probably still think that too. I'm not saying that it's harder than MMA. I'm saying that it's more dangerous, more lethal than MMA. And here's why. Um, so in MMA, I'll give you this. It is definitely a lot harder to master because you're not trying to master just one discipline. You're doing wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai. I mean, there's a whole bunch of options. So it's damn near impossible to master 4 or 5 different disciplines, let alone one. It's damn near impossible to master one. I mean, you get really good at one, but even to master it, like very few people actually end up mastering it. That's why there's not that many world champions in any fighting realm. But basically, MMA, like, they're not really purists. So while I'll admit it is harder to try and master MMA because, again, how do you master all these disciplines at once? So really, the only way you would master MMA, I mean, I don't know anything about MMA by the way, but I guess like it's damn near impossible to master because it's just so much like different things that you can do. So I'll give them that it is harder to master the craft of MMA. Well, I'm on the fence with that, and I'll talk about that later. But I will give it to them that it is hard to master multiple disciplines, avoid injuries, just because like I'm a boxer, right? So if I try to be also a runner, like I would get injuries from the cross training because overuse training. And anyway, like it's just not good mix for a sports as demanding as like boxing or MMA. Doing anything extra is just not a good idea. But with that being said, in MMA, you're able to hit the body, you're able to hit the legs, you're able to kick, you're able to. And keep in mind, I'm very ignorant on MMA, so excuse me if I'm saying anything wrong. But with MMA, like you can the only target. I mean, I know you can hit in the body with boxing as well, but the main target in boxing is the head, the brain, essentially. Um, and MMA, you can get taken to the ground. I mean, you can still get hit in the head, but like you can get what's it called? I don't know what any of the terms are, but so I'm not even gonna say them because I'm gonna sound stupid. But in MMA, like the main target is not necessarily the head; it's just like the whole body in general. You're trying to like use everything possible to take the other person down. So, um, like it's a little bit less of a focus on the head, aka the brain. So, like once the brain goes, you're fucked. Like once the brain goes, that's it. Like there's no coming back. Like that's what makes boxing a little bit more dangerous because we do 12 rounds at the championship level, and you can keep continuing like taking brain trauma after brain trauma after brain trauma. And as long as you're able to stand, as long as you're able to walk forward when the ref calls you to come forward, and you pass that short little 2 second test, you can keep going. And who knows, what if you have like a freaking brain bleed after the fourth round and you just keep fighting and fighting and then boom, you die. Which has happened. That a lot of boxers are dying recently. They've always been dying. It's just we didn't have a again, took a shower. I always do this after I shower. But anyway, there's been a lot. I feel like boxers have been dying for a while. It's just that now that social media is so huge and the word gets around a lot quicker. Now we're just not finding out how many people are actually dying from this sport. Like I'm seeing a lot of shit on Instagram where like you literally see the fighter collapse, like after the fight's over, not during the fight, after the fight's over, which is scary because like you could arguably die at any time. Um, maybe you get hit in the head too hard during your pro fight, and then you die while you're sleeping. Like holy shit, we could have done something, but we had no idea because I mean the brain bleed's just like a silent thing, you know. You just, I mean I don't know. God forbid that ever happens to me, but I must have a hard head or something because I've been hit, but I don't have any brain trauma. No, that's not true. I definitely have some brain trauma, but like I don't have anything. So you guys know? Well, I don't know if you guys know, but I got an MRI and a CT scan to my head, and my brain. Well, my brain really. Everything came back normal. I mean, I'm sure I have some kind of level of CTE after freaking 20 years, but I'm still able to box and continue boxing, so that's good. So what makes boxing more dangerous is the fact that the main target is the head. You can keep continuing to take like brain trauma after brain trauma so long as you're able to stand on your two legs. That's a very low requirement. Um, so versus MMA, like you're trying to target the whole body. So while I still don't agree with this, but I'm just gonna just for simplicity's sake. While some might argue that MMA is harder to master because of multiple disciplines, I would argue that boxing is more lethal or more dangerous because the main target is the head. And once the head goes out, then you're done. That's extreme. That's like the as dangerous as it gets. Um, you break a leg, it comes back. You break an arm, it comes back. You I don't know. What else you could like? Any other parts of your body, it'll heal. The brain doesn't come back. As far as research shows, like those brain cells don't come back. There is some early studies that show that like sometimes doing certain things, or I don't know if it's doing certain things or I think it's doing certain things like mental exercises, you are able to regenerate some level of brain cells. Don't quote me on that because I could be completely lying to you right now. But anyway, let's just assume that the brain cells don't come back. Every time you get hit, you lose. Think about it, lose 50 brain cells, 100. Really big hit, boom, 300 brain cells lost. You only have a certain amount of brain cells before like you're like walking what's the word? Um, before you're a vegetable basically. Like you're walking around like you basically have to be babysat 24/7. You can't use the bathroom by yourself. Like y'all seen what happened to Ali. So that's like worst case. I mean, worst case scenario is you die, which has happened a lot. But like even I feel like even worse than that is like ending up like Ali. Where I mean Ali, all respect to him. Obviously, like everything he did was worth it. But like living like that must be so sad. Like not being able to control your body. Like I don't know. It's just very that's not as big. I mean, it is still very much a risk in MMA. Don't get me wrong. MMA is still extremely dangerous, but I feel like it's just right underneath boxing, just because the main target is the head. Come on, like anyone that's ever boxed, like you're trying to go for the head. I know there's some people that are good with body shots, but like you're trying to hit them in the head, bro. Like there's nothing better than a knockout to the head. I mean, body shot knockouts are pretty savage too, but like, there's nothing better than a knockout and the guy just goes out cold. I mean, assuming their health is intact, but like, there's no better feeling than getting that knockout. So the fact that we're trying to constantly do that, like the whole time, like we're just taking hits to the head. I mean, we take them to the body too, but like for the most part, like the head really gets touched up. So the fact that the main target is the head makes boxing just a little bit more dangerous than MMA because again, MMA you can target the whole body. Um, that has to do with how lethal or how dangerous a sport is. Now in terms of like how hard is it to master? Okay, this one's a little bit more controversial. I'm trying to be fair here. It took me my whole life. I'm 19. I'm not 19 years old. I'm 27. But I've been boxing for 19 years. I'm still trying to master boxing. Um, I'm sure it's the same thing for other disciplines. I don't know. I don't know. I'm biased. You can't ask me. I'm just gonna think that boxing is harder to master just because like there's so many intricacies and like I don't know if I use that word right, but there's so many little things like you just hear. There's a difference. The difference between this and this is the difference between not getting knocked out and getting knocked out cold. So like this is a game of inches. It's so fine tuned. That's why we boxers are purists. Like we can't do anything else. Like you can't like at the highest level. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions where like some fighters do other stuff. Like I'm sure on the side there's people with hobbies like maybe they do bicycling, maybe a little bit maybe running. I mean everybody runs though. Like we already run. So like okay, like trying to box and play football that would never happen. I mean you can still play for fun, but there's no way you can pursue both unless there's somebody out there. I don't know. If you can find someone that's really good at football and boxing, but like I don't mean they're just good at it. I mean like they're doing both very seriously. I feel like that would be like impossible. Anyway, uh, I don't know. I'm gonna leave this one as like so. The question is, what is the harder sport to master? Um, I'm biased. I'm not gonna give my answer. So if y'all want to comment which sport is harder to master, boxing or MMA, be my guest. But like I'm biased. You know, I'm a pro boxer, so I'm gonna just leave my output on that. But I still think boxing is for sure more dangerous and more lethal than MMA. Main target is the head. Argue against that. I feel like this one's gonna be kind of controversial. So um, and and also drop like if there's a question you want me to answer about boxing, I don't care what it is. I mean, assuming it can be on YouTube, you know, it can be. Actually, yeah, I mean, well, assuming I can talk about it on YouTube, like ask me anything, and I'll try to answer it. And I don't know. Again, 19 years of boxing, going on 20 this year. Ask me anything. That's all I got.